You're now watching the Good, Bad, and Ugly podcast, featuring Kevin Bunk, John Downs, and Reese Jantz.
All right, the Good, Bad, and Ugly regular season is over. Really exciting one today, as always. I'm here with JD and Reese. Fellas, how we feeling? How'd we feel about Week 18?
No, besides having one of the worst teams in the NFL, this is a completely insane Week 18 slate that we had. Everything that we wanted to happen happened beside the tie, in my opinion. And this episode I really think is going to be good. I'm really excited for the playoffs.
Week 18 was just mayhem. The Sunday Night Football game was just a perfect ending to this season because this season was mayhem in general. I'm not even going to go off on a tangent here. We're just going to roll right into it because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to start up with, I'll just go through the schedule. It's a little bit of a different Good, Bad, Ugly episode. It's not the same. We're not going to have a Good, Bad, Ugly from Week 18. I felt like that was just a little bit. It doesn't do what we watched this weekend justice.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with, getting with the head coach situation, all the firings around the league, potential hirings, talk about all that. Then we're going to, when we planned the show last night, we were thinking Joe Judge was going to be with the Giants. We're still going to talk about that. And now he has been fired. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Giants. We were supposed to have some people on. It's not going to work out, but we always encourage to reach out to us with questions or topics you want discussed, or if you want to be here. We are going to talk a lot about the Sunday Night Football game and Brandon Staley and the Chargers as a whole, and just what a great game we saw on Sunday night to finish the season. And then we'll wrap it up with the postseason and award predictions. So we got a lot to talk about. Let's start with the head coach firings, like I said. So we'll start with that. We'll move to the playoffs and the football we have left towards the second half of this. Well, we've seen Vic Fangio get fired, Matt Nagy get fired, Mike Zimmer, Joe Judge today, of course, Brian Flores, John Gruden earlier in the season, Urban Meyer. So a lot of head coach openings, maybe Pete Carroll too. I want to get your guys' immediate thoughts. I mean, Fangio, Nagy, Zimmer, there's really nothing to talk about. We know it. I
just want to say, KB, for Fangio, just before we move on, because we knew that these were
good
coming.
Coach. He's a good coach.
Great defensive coach. He should be on the top of the list for any team that needs a defensive coordinator. But
and I was actually a little bit surprised at this just because I thought that they were going to wait for him to get a quarterback. But, I mean, it's not something that's not justified either. But,
go ahead.
Yeah, Reese, you can go.
I just wanted to touch on the biggest shock, which was the Flores firing.
Yeah, that's what I want to get into right here.
Yeah, in my opinion, as the Dolphins, it's on the border of acceptable, just because it seems like they've officially picked Tua as their guy, and they were picking Flores, or they're picking Tua over Flores in this situation because we know that Flores didn't want Tua. But the guy ended the season 8-1. They were playing great football and beating teams they were supposed to. I think that's a great way to ride into the next season, especially with a team like the Dolphins that really just needs a few upgrades in certain positions and maybe a little bit of change on offense because I feel like they're not really been too productive. But I think Flores is a great coach and definitely a top option left. Honestly, just a little bit below Fangio, just because of coaching experience. But I really think Miami lost a good one firing him.
Yeah, I thought this was. I didn't even have words when I saw this. I was shocked. I'm happy about it, being a Jets fan. But
yeah.
Flores, it was the only good thing the Dolphins seemed to have going for him, and it's how I felt. And I'm wrong in hindsight. It's how I felt when Doug Peterson got fired and Howie Roseman didn't. But Chris Greer has a absolutely terrible draft track record. I thought they got rid of the wrong guy here. Tua is not, in my eyes, is not the guy. He could take a big leap for next year, though we've seen some nice things from him. But, JD, I'd love to hear your thoughts, too, and your thoughts on him potentially being in Minnesota or Chicago, where, of course, you reside with the Packers.
Yeah, this one caught me off guard. It didn't seem to catch any of the insiders off guard. They kind of knew that something was coming, which was just pretty shocking because there was no rumblings about this potentially happening leading up to this. This wasn't a football product-based fire. He obviously has clear disagreements with the top brass in Miami, Chris Greer. He probably wanted to move off Tua. They probably didn't. I don't know. That's not official. We don't know if that's exactly the case. I think Chris Greer is a pretty bad GM. Honestly, they've had a coaching carousel go through there. The 20 years he's been there, you name it, has been a coach for the Dolphins. So I think this is a bad move letting go of Flores. And I honestly, touching on what you said, KB, think this is a great fit for Minnesota because Minnesota has the pieces to not win a Super Bowl now, but the foundation's there. They have a quarterback who can win in the short term for you. They're generally a defensive-based team. That's how they win their games because Zimmer was so good all those years. I think that this is a no-brainer for Minnesota, but you could also say it's a no-brainer for Chicago. I just think Minnesota's situation is a little bit better. And it does worry me that he could come to the division, but as long as Aaron Rodgers is in Green Bay, which we don't know if it's going to happen, I think the Packers pretty much don't have any worries in the NFC North.
Yeah, and I did want to backtrack to what KB said about Tua. He's not a guy that's going to win you games, and I feel like coaching is going to win you games in the long run, especially against teams like that they've been playing, that like borderline 500 teams that they should beat. And I also wanted to touch on how there's this stat. I'm trying to remember it exactly. I believe the Dolphins didn't have an offensive touchdown past the 11-yard line. So it's been proven in the stats that Tua's not going to be a guy to make a big touchdown play or win you a football game. So I really feel like the Dolphins made the completely wrong decision in this one.
I do like so Tua. I think it's a little too early on Tua. We've seen some bad moments. We've seen some okay moments. He can't really push the ball downfield. But this guy was great at Alabama. He's a top 5 pick. You have to.
Him and Waddle
I'd roll with Tua for another year instead of selling your soul for Deshaun Watson, which seems like that's what they're going to do now that Brian Flores is gone. There's some pieces there because I want to touch on Jalen Waddle has been great. Like he is
incredible,
one of the greatest rookie receivers ever. He's going to have a great future. Tua loves him. So there's pieces there. They certainly need an offensive line. They have no offensive line whatsoever because Tua's got no time back there. And they've got Gaskin's been good, but it's a tough job for someone coming right in. You got to groom Tua. You got to get this offense going. You got to find the right guys because it's been pretty stagnant the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I also just want to touch on, something that Flores has gotten so much praise for after getting fired, which he should. He's a good coach. He shouldn't have been fired, but his offensive coaches have not been good. They fired Chan Gailey last offseason.
Chan Gailey is brutal.
Chan Gailey is one of the worst offensive coordinators in NFL history. They had him because, we have prior experience with him with the Jets. He was fired with the Jets, too, when he was with them, and he's been everywhere. He's been fired from every place he's been at. Chan Gailey sucked. He got fired. They bring in Tua's quarterback coach from Bama to be the quarterback coach and offensive advisor last offseason. I don't know if that was a great move. Once again, their offense was stagnant, JD, like you said, for the last 2 years. It just hasn't felt like the offense was moving in the right direction at all. Defense won them games. We saw it with all their wins. But the thing for me, man, what I would do as a fan of an AFC East team to have someone that can beat Belichick. What I would do for that. 4-2 against Belichick in 3 years.
Yeah.
Swept them this year, and the Patriots are a playoff team. You can kind of exempt the Week 1 win in Foxborough, Mac Jones' first game. If you want to say that, that's fine. But he beat them last week, too, in a game that New England had to win to try to play for the AFC East top spot. If Buffalo had lost to the Jets, they didn't. But, what I would do for a guy that could beat Belichick, it's the toughest 2 games on your schedule every year as a member of the AFC East.
Yep. I do think I think Brian Flores is a great coach. I want to get that out there, but I do think we have to pump the brakes on every team should go get Brian Flores because while he is a good coach, they still haven't made the playoffs. So there's still room to grow, but I want to say out of the Belichick coaching trees, he seems to be one of the more promising than compared to Joe Judge. Obviously, he's not the only guy from the Belichick tree, but he is one of the more promising guys, and he'll probably have a head coaching job if he wants it.
Yeah, and Miami plays hard too. You can tell he's got the locker room. You have those guys out there no matter what coming out, even when they're 1-7.
I wonder how the players feel.
I feel like they wouldn't be happy, especially Tua.
I'm really interested.
Well, actually, no, never mind.
I'm really interested about how the players feel because all I've heard is that the issue was his relationship with Tua, and then it fell apart with Chris Greer also. But if it's just his relationship with Tua, and there's 52 guys that love Brian Flores, that's a problem to get rid of Brian Flores.
Yeah.
But we can move on from that. Everyone knows this has been the most talked about thing in the NFL for the last 3 days, the last 48 hours, whatever. I want to know if you guys think the Raiders actually have a head coach opening or not. Rich Bisaccia just got him into the playoffs after a ton of turmoil. If there's a guy like Harbaugh available, do you get rid of Bisaccia and move on? Or even for a guy like Flores, or Bieniemy, Leftwich, whoever you want to say, do you get rid of Rich Bisaccia? Is this just, a team that was talented, got themselves in the playoffs? I want to know your thoughts on the Raiders.
If you can guarantee Harbaugh or Flores, in my opinion, I would take that opportunity and run with it because in my opinion, those are some top coaches that can really advance your team even farther than they were. But he's been solid. He came in there and handled a train wreck of a franchise, which is what they were at, and he calmed everything down. And even with another DUI, like another guy getting arrested out there, he kept that locker room intact. He kept everyone calm, and they went out there and performed. And if the Raiders aren't playing for him, I don't know who else they're playing for, but they're going out there and they're playing hard every week. And I think he's got them playing hard.
I think there is a head coach opening. I think they're going to keep an open mind when it comes to that process. If there's someone they really love, they might go after him. But you have to think Bisaccia is the leading candidate. At least, they'll go in and probably interview other guys. But I think Coach Rich Bisaccia has done a great job. Yes. They all buy in. They're all playing for him. They all love him. Max Crosby is a fucking animal, dude. He's got 100 quarterback pressures on the year. That is just far and above
he's crazy.
Anyone else. I think he should stay the head coach just because they made the playoffs that 1 year with Derek Carr broke his leg. They were obviously one and done after that, but they were a great team that year. Other than that, they haven't had much success, and this is Derek Carr's first playoff start. He's been in the league for quite a long time, and it doesn't feel like it, but he has. He started a lot of games, over 120 games he started. First playoff start. I think you got to give it to him, but I do think that they'll keep an open mind to it, and Mayock will probably fuck it up somehow. So.
And I did want to touch on how good Zay Jones and Derek Carr have been connecting. I feel like every Raiders game I've watched, whenever they need a clutch first down, a clutch catch, he's going to Zay Jones. He's become that guy for Derek Carr. So I think that team is just clicking in general with a bunch of guys, and I think they should just stick with the coach for now. Truthfully.
Yeah. So to move on from the Raiders, just because we're going to talk.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it.
Last head coaching question name for you guys before we talk about Joe Judge and the Giants situation is Pete Carroll back with Seattle?
I don't know, honestly. I feel like that decision is going to take a little bit more time to be made, but you have to make it quick because if you don't, you're going to lose out on some of the top guys that you could hire. You got to get started on the process. So I don't know.
Yeah, this is tough. If I'm Seattle, I feel like it's time to move on. I don't feel like this team's going to have enough time, even if they are to rebuild with Pete Carroll, to get back to the caliber that he was at.
If it's Pete Carroll and Russ, they're just retooling. They ain't rebuilding. Pete Carroll's not going to do a rebuild.
Yeah, Pete Carroll, oldest head coach in the league. He's not doing a rebuild. I think that, JD, you're totally right. They got to get rid of him now if you want to. Because if Russell Wilson's sticking around, it might be the top head coach vacancy.
Yeah.
Because you have the best quarterback out of all the teams that need a head coaching job. We'll see what happens with that one. I just thought that was an interesting one to throw in.
Bring up, another name with Pete Carroll, another guy. Before we move on to SNF and Judge and all the good stuff, David Culley, I think, should get another year in Houston. I feel like he's done a good job getting those guys to play every week. But honestly, it seems like he's going to get fired because
I think
Nick Caserio wants he got his guy in David Culley, I guess, last year, but that's not who he wants long term. I think they're going to make a move this offseason.
Culley was clearly from the start a bridge head coach.
I think he's done a fine job.
I think he did they were actually pretty competitive this year for their.
Yeah, Davis Mills played really well too.
I thought them in Detroit, and obviously with the fact that they're picking second and third, it shows. I thought they had the two worst rosters in the league, and I think I might give Houston the edge, but Davis Mills looked really good the second half of the season. I'd let the two of them run it back next year.
What do you have to lose at that point?
I mean, Culley certainly was not the worst head coach hired last year.
No, not even close.
Even though he was the one that got the most heat, he certainly was not the worst guy. So I think that they should keep him around because I don't think you're doing much anyways next year. So instead of starting a fresh head coach out 3-13, 3-14, 4-13, I just I give him another year.
Yeah,
really
I
competitive.
very much agree.
I agree.
Really
Yeah.
competitive last year. So we can move on. Head coaching, I mean, a lot of news is going to come in the next few weeks with that, and I'm excited to see it all. But we go to the Giants, who looked like, as of yesterday, I mean, Giants easily, from the eye, had the worst team that they've ever had.
Yeah.
The team was not competitive the second half of the season, and it looked like up until 3 hours ago, there was a really, really good chance Joe Judge was coming back for a third season. He is not. He was just fired. Thoughts on this move? Thoughts on how attractive the Giants' coaching position is? They're also looking for a general manager right now. So I just want to hear all your thoughts on this stuff, and we'll talk about just the disaster of Joe Judge. So whatever you guys want to start with.
I think the whole New York Giants fan base sighed a huge sigh of relief tonight. They were all clamoring for Joe Judge to be fired for weeks because of how bad the team finished. Judge gave him no choice. They wanted to keep him. Like, they wanted to keep him for another year. And the Giants were so bad that they gave him no choice. He was a clown show in his press conferences. There was nothing more that I wanted to see than him get fired. If I had to watch another year of New York Giants football with Joe Judge, that would have been brutal. This was the only way it was going to happen because you were not getting an outside GM who was going to agree to taking Joe Judge and Daniel Jones. Now, this is how they got to do it. They got to rip it down. They got to get a new GM in there who picks his head coach, and then the head coach and GM decide what they want to do with Daniel Jones. I think he's a very serviceable quarterback next year. But long-term, I don't know. You don't want to sign him to a long-term contract. You got him on that. They got to make a decision, I guess, on that 1 year, $18 million that they got to give him. They'll probably do it just because I don't think outside of Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, no one really in the draft the Giants would take in their spots. I think it's a reasonably attractive job. They don't have much cap space, but with the draft picks, there's pieces there. And I'm just glad to see Joe Judge gone. Going back to what Mara said at the beginning of the year, if they were worse in Super Bowl terms-wise than they were last year, you had to fire this guy. That's what he said he was going to do. There was no getting out of that. Joe Judge had to go. They made the right move, and now I'm very excited to see who they interview for GM and where they go from here.
No, Reese, right before you get going here, I just wanted to make one point that, JD, you just popped into my mind, you talking about the draft and everything, and we're talking about a new GM. Could number 7 be used on a quarterback if a guy like Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett move up combine season, pro day season? Don't actually rule that out. I know we're talking a lot double O-line edge, but Giants fans, just don't rule that one out for one of those two guys to be a new GM's favorite, having those 2 picks in the first round.
Yeah, I don't think they should, and I don't think they will, but you can't rule it out.
I agree. Can't rule it out.
You have 2 premium picks. If a GM comes in and sees the guy that he loves out there, I think there's a good chance that they can take a quarterback, but I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think it should happen.
Yep.
All right. So JD, you worded it perfectly. They left Mara no choice. Joe Judge has been absolutely pitiful. It was really a disgrace the fact that he was even still on the team after that Week 18 game. So he was giving all the Giants fans a heart attack. But yeah, he was horrible. There's no other way around it. He should have been fired. He deserved to be fired. And this does raise a large question mark for quarterback, especially with depending what they do at the GM position. But I'm really excited to see this fold out, and hopefully the New York Jets and the Giants get back to winning football at some point.
Yeah, well, the Jets have never been there, so we're not getting back to it.
That's a fair point.
Hopefully
Fair
these
point.
2 teams can find their stride and find a winning win. But the Giants, it's just, this is a team with $3 million in cap space going into the offseason. They have the draft capital. They have the second best draft pick collection in the NFL, I think, behind the Jets, just because the Giants have a pick less or 2. Or, well, the Jets have that extra second-round pick, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Is this I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this because if you asked me 7 weeks ago, it's the Giants. They should be one of the most attractive jobs because it's the New York Giants. But now, I don't know. I don't know how I feel sitting here at this moment with the state of their roster. Gettleman left them in a terrible position. One of the worst stretches ever from a general manager. So I don't know. Like, do you guys think that this job is more attractive than a Minnesota, Chicago type of job?
I like Minnesota
I think it's top
and Denver
4.
more.
Because there's 2. Yeah, those are. I think, yeah, probably Chicago. I'd take the Giants job over, but those are my two jobs that they're also bringing in a GM and a head coach. So usually GM head coach comes in a pair. GM wants the guy that he wants to be the head coach. I don't know if this is a better job than the other ones.
I think Denver is miles ahead. They're a quarterback away.
I'd like to see Hackett with the Giants. I know Hackett's going to get a lot of interviews. He's probably going to get one of the jobs. Just as a Packers fan who watches and is invested with New York football, I'd just like to see him get the job with the Giants because, to be honest, as long as Rodgers is here, they're not a threat to us. But I'd like to see the Giants do good. I really would. And I'd like to see Hackett.
Hackett's a guy that you guys know I talked about in the Jaguars video.
Yep.
I love Hackett as a candidate. I think he's one of the guys that is not getting talked about enough for some reason, and I'm going to talk about this later, even when we do our awards and stuff, which is what I'm hinting at, who my coach of the year is. For some reason, Aaron Rodgers has given this head coach LaFleur and his staff the biggest. I don't even know. I don't know what the right word is. Pass as to being a good coaching staff.
Here comes the LaFleur tree, the LaFleur times Rodgers tree now because. The Bears or the Broncos are interviewing their quarterback coach Luke Getsy. This is how it starts for LaFleur. As long as Rodgers is still here and LaFleur keeps winning, this is how a tree starts with Hackett and Getsy.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to talk about with the Giants. There's going to be so much talk about them on this.
Draft,
I'm doing offseason preview next season, and we're going to talk about so much every single week. They come up in our conversations, and we love to talk about them. So you guys are good on that. We can move on to this fantastic Sunday Night Football game that ended the season. The speculation of the tie all week. The circumstance was brought into question but never felt likely until there's 30 seconds left on the clock. And 36 seconds. Brandon Staley calls a timeout, which quite possibly could be keeping his team from playing in the playoffs this weekend. Whoever wants to start with the Sunday night legendary game, but absolute meltdown on the Chargers' part.
I mean, what a finale to the season. I couldn't have asked for a better game. The suspense, I was just picturing myself as a Steelers fan, and I was thinking, oh my God, this would be my worst nightmare. I have to wait this thing out for 4 hours to the end of overtime. It was just so good. Herbert was so good, and it's so unfortunate that we're not going to see him in the playoffs versus the Chiefs or the Bills, whoever they were going to play. The fourth, we'll talk about the timeout, but I just want to say the 4th and 1 on your own 18-yard line.
That's the one that killed them.
What is going on in this guy's head? Because there's no possible way that he thought this was a good idea. It was a 3-point game, start of the third quarter. There is plenty of time. Punt the ball. Punt the ball to the Raiders. Trust your defense to get a stop. At least hold them to a field goal, which they wound up doing anyway, so it could have been much worse. So they actually had a chance in the game. But this guy...
Of course, the margin of difference ends up being 3. It always does. Always does when something like that happens.
This guy is off his rocker, Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
He goes for it every 4th down. He never kicks field goals. And the Chargers, unfortunately, lost a few games because of that this season, which costed them the playoffs. They were a very young, good team with a lot of talent that finished 9-8. He's
top 3 quarterback in the league too this year.
Top 3 quarterback. He's not getting fired. Staley's not getting fired. But if he does this again next year, you have to. And I think he should this year. But a lot of people don't agree with me. I don't know if you guys do. But good for the Raiders. Good for Bisaccia. Bad on Brandon Staley. But what a wild end to Week 18.
Yeah, this is just, if I had to write in a book, the Week 18's, or not the Week 18, of the entire NFL regular season this year, it would be the Week 18 Sunday Night Football game. There's the Chargers losing the season on a heartbreak, going for it on 3rd down on their own fucking 20. It's just the most typical, NFL season, or NFL game this season. It was a crazy game to watch, but I'd want to give props to the Raiders. They have been playing incredible football. They've been going out there and performing above expectations almost consistently since the Chiefs game that they got absolutely shit on. But I think the Raiders are an interesting team. I think since he's going to end up wiping them in the playoffs.
The moment they beat
this
Indy,
is huge.
It was like, oh shit, because these guys have a chance. And Indy was a team we regarded
I counted the Raiders out after seeing that matchup. I thought it was all Indy.
But if you look at the Raiders' last 2 games of the season, it's okay. So they have to beat Indianapolis and the Chargers.
No
Yeah.
chance.
It's not going to happen. But then, I had said it to you guys a few weeks, 2 weeks ago when we're talking about the Chargers and we have 2 weeks to go and they have to beat Denver and the Raiders to get in. And personally, I wanted to see the Chargers in. Herbert's too good to not be in the playoffs. But, man, you lined this game up 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't thinking about the Raiders getting into the playoffs until earlier this week, of course. Madden just passed away.
It was all
It's the first home game after. 45-year anniversary of him winning the Super Bowl. This game, the Chargers had no chance.
The Chargers
They had
did.
no chance.
It was
dude.
almost too good to be true for the Raiders.
That
I'm
video,
shocked.
that video of Derek Carr running out of the tunnel, like
One of the
that
best things
eight-way,
I've seen.
man,
One of the
wide
best things
shot.
I've seen all year.
So good, so good. The Raiders, it was just meant to be. It was just meant to be.
But I'll also say, the AFC playoffs, I texted you guys this, the AFC playoffs got a lot worse than what we thought they were going to be 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
We thought, instead of the Raiders and Steelers, I was going to be seeing the Colts playing the Chiefs, or the Colts playing the Bengals, and the Chargers playing the Chiefs for the third time this year. But now we lose out on two of the most fun teams to watch, two near MVP guys with Jonathan Taylor and Herbert. I love the storylines, like the Raiders, came from nowhere and Roethlisberger gets in, but
It's a wash. It's going to be a wash. The Chiefs-Steelers game is going to be so bad.
I'm torn on how these games went because I wanted to see Big Ben get in, but I did not want the Steelers in. I was torn on who to root for in that
I'll
one.
say this, though. I'm very glad that Sunday night didn't end in a tie because much as it will be fun to talk about and everything, and it'll be the craziest thing that happened, it's not. It was on Sunday night. That game was way too good for it to end in a tie. And with Big Ben winning that game earlier in the day, he had to go to the playoffs. I did not want to see him miss the playoffs by Sunday night because of the feeling throughout the day. But we lose out on.
Unfortunately, though, KB, the Colts didn't deserve. We loved them.
They didn't.
They didn't earn it.
The sad truth is they blew it themselves because they
blew
had
it.
the worst team in the NFL. A win and get in scenario, and they lost. And I'm upset, but who knows? If they get walked by Kansas City, it'll be the same as the Steelers. So
I don't know if you guys. Do you guys want to talk about the Chargers and Raiders still? Because I'll just if you want to drop in a quick.
I want to say
let's finish up on
things.
Chargers and Raiders because before we start talking about the playoffs, I want to drop in the Colts. I want to talk about the Colts.
I want to say just a few more things.
We keep talking about it. Don't even no time constraints.
I want to just touch on that last 2-minute drive by the Chargers. That was 19 plays. What?
And
what
19 plays,
what
18 of them were fourth and long.
What an excruciating thing to watch. They were behind the sticks every set of downs. It was 4th and 10 every set of downs. And that throw, Herbert on third down, was making great throws. They were all over him. 74, the right tackle, could not handle Max Crosby.
Oh, my God.
He was bullying him all night, and Herbert could not get any sort of time. So it was a masterful job by him. That play with 2 seconds left, he fit it right in there. That was awesome. Awesome thing to watch. Hard to watch because of how excruciatingly bad they were on 1st and 2nd down. But that's just, you don't see 19-play, 2-minute drives often. So I just wanted to touch on that and how just unique that scenario was because it was providing me with so much entertainment. I wanted to see them tie it. But I was like, how are they just not running simple, just gimme plays on 1st down? Just get yardage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this did also showed me that Herbert has a complete clutch factor in him. And when he needs to make a throw, he's going to make a throw. And the Chargers, they have such a high ceiling, man. I feel like if Staley just gets those 4th down calls together and really just makes a smart decision for the team, like that going forward on their own 30, that was just a stupid fucking decision. There is no excuse,
That was really bad.
in my opinion, for that. So if he can narrow those mistakes down, the Chargers are a great football team, and they just got to put it together, but they never do.
We've joked all year because the Chargers seem to find their way into an ugly and a good and revolving weeks. It's just they just keep finding their way on, and we rip them, then we love them, and we rip them, then we love them. This run defense is one of the worst things I've ever seen from a football team that's competing for a playoff spot. It was so bad. Josh Jacobs did whatever he wanted from the 4th quarter on. It was just an absolute embarrassment and you know what, you got to be watching that Georgia-Alabama game, and if you're a Chargers fan, there's not many of you, but if you're a Chargers fan, you got to be thinking what I'm thinking, because I'm always thinking about the draft, being a Jets fan. Jordan Davis has to be on the Chargers because they need a run stopper so badly. It's disgusting to watch.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
rough.
very bad.
It's been ugly.
And one last thing on the Raiders. They deserve to be in it, and
They do.
While I don't think that they're going to go past the first round, I think the Bengals will edge it out. We'll talk about that later. I do think they can win, and I'm very interested for their game in Cincinnati. Past that, though, I don't really want them matched up against the Chiefs or Titans. It's just not a game I really want to watch, but good for them. And while we did want the Colts and Chargers, the sad truth is that they just didn't deserve to be there. So now we've got the 14 teams who deserve to be in, the 14 best, ready to roll into the wild card weekend.
Yep, I'm excited.
Yeah, I want to wrap up 2 points I want to make, and then if you guys have anything else to finish with the Chargers and Raiders. Raiders, JD, we're talking about deserving playoff spots. Raiders deserved it. Steelers deserved it because the Chargers and Colts just dropped games that they shouldn't have dropped. They did not. They lost some. They both lost. I don't know if the Indianapolis did. I think they went 2-0 against Houston. But Indianapolis lost to Jacksonville last week. Chargers lost the game to Houston. They're games that have to be won, and the way Brandon Staley coached his team for the whole season was not deserving of a playoff spot. He lost them a lot of games. And my final point for Sunday night strictly, I didn't respond to you before, JD. I would not fire Staley just because I want to keep some continuity with Herbert, and I don't want to ruin what they have going right now. But, man, if they did after that Sunday night game, there was a lot of fireable offenses in that game.
I would not have been shocked.
If I own that team and I'm watching – I mean, Spanos is the worst owner of all time. He's terrible. But if I own that team or if I'm a general manager and I've put this team together that's talented enough to get into the playoffs, are they good enough to win a Super Bowl? No. But we're looking for that first playoff berth in a few years, and I see him going for it on that fourth down, I would have ran down to the sideline and ripped that headset off of him in the moment. I would have, and he would have never, ever wore the powder blue again. He wouldn't have. But I keep him for another year. He has to correct these mistakes next season.
And they have a bunch of cap space. They don't have too many draft picks. I don't think they do. But they have a normal amount. They're picking late in the first round. Or I think it was like 17th, I think. In the first round. So they've got a quality pick. They've got a bunch of cap space because Herbert is not on his they haven't signed him a new extension. I mean, you got to save some for him, but they have the room to go get impact guys. And we don't say it often because KB, you haven't gotten there in your offseason preview, but like this is a team that has a legit shot at Devontae Adams, not like the Jaguars or Lions or Texans. This is a team that can really go get him. If they do, it would be electric with Herbert. Green Bay's going to franchise tag him, so I don't see him leaving yet, but it could happen down the road.
Yeah, and of course, this team, for them to get Devontae Adams, it means something that's likely going to happen regardless is Mike Williams leaves. Williams was probably their best receiver this season.
They're probably going to pay him if they can't get Devontae, which is fine.
If they can't get Devontae, they'll probably pay him. If not, either way, I could see him leaving anyways because I could see him getting overpaid by a team with cap space that's looking to get a wide receiver. But before we move to the Colts, I'd say one thing that I also forgot to mention. The most significant part of the weekend is Sean McVay is now 45-1 when leading at halftime.
Yes.
I don't
Crazy.
need to do a whole segment. That was a great game, too, one of many on Sunday. That game was fantastic. 49ers getting the playoffs. We'll talk about that later when we're talking about the playoffs.
Shanahan just owns this guy. I mean, McVay cannot seem to beat Shanahan.
Shanahan is...
He's great.
He's got his number, man. He's got his number. All right, let's move to the Colts. Biggest disappointment of Sunday. I said it when I did my Jags video last week. I thought this was going to be a massacre. Then we're reading the stats on GBU, and I'm kind of like, hold on. This team might get killed. The Colts might get killed on Sunday.
We called it.
We were talking about it, and it was a little bit joking, but when we really thought about everything, they beat Buffalo. Indianapolis hasn't won there since 2012. It just didn't seem meant to be at that point. So, Colts, is this the biggest disappointment of the season after the season has been put together? Is it more disappointing than Cleveland this year?
It's close, but I mean, at one point they looked like they might even get like the 1 seed. Like they were looking
It looked like they were going to overthrow Tennessee. Now,
they were
Tennessee
sitting
for
pretty.
not crumbling without Henry
Tennessee's
and
been
A.J.
great.
Brown,
but I think it has to be because mid-season these were the these were the guys. Like, these were the team.
We were high on these.
Yeah,
guys.
we were like, this team can go to the Super Bowl if they're playing well. And now they can't beat they lost to the Jags by 20. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't lose to the Jags at all. Never mind get blown out by the Jags in a game where you need to win to get into the playoffs. You straight up just don't deserve it at all. It's just an ugly game. Carson looked bad. Taylor was ineffective. You need your stars to perform when you need to.
Their
beat
offensive
a game,
line looked
beat a team.
terrible too, which is very odd.
Lawrence
for
looked great
Indianapolis.
though. Props to him.
But
He looked
Lawrence
good.
looked very good. Lawrence, the stats don't show him having a dominant game, but he played really, really good against a good Colts defense. The problem for the Colts is now they're tied down to Carson Wentz. They don't have their first-round pick this year because the Eagles have it. You're tied down to Carson Wentz, and he's just he gave me no. I thought he was going to get back to not MVP, near MVP Carson Wentz from the year the Eagles won the
He
Super
was
Bowl
better,
before he got
but
hurt.
he did
But he
end up
improved,
selling
but
it.
He showed his
he
true
did,
colors.
but it still was not like, okay, this is definitely the
Yes,
guy that
yes.
it pays to go. And Frank Reich, I think, who I've praised since they hired him. I loved him when they hired him. I've loved him all year. I've been praising him. Frank Reich, it's time to start giving him some heat here because of this.
Yeah.
They've done nothing to improve this passing game.
Unfortunately, Jonathan Taylor's historic season is not extended into the playoffs, which goes back to our conversation before. We wanted the Colts in. I feel like they were one of the 7 best teams. They were not. They lost it to them. Yeah, they lost it themselves.
Yeah.
It's on me. I should have been milking that Jaguars clip on Sunday night after they won. To be honest, I really, going into the game Sunday, I thought there was legit
there was
like,
something in the air.
I saw
Yeah.
it in my head, a Jaguars upset, but I didn't really think it was going to happen. I wasn't too confident in it. But we were kind of half joking and half new. It was just a shock, and it could just turn NFL Week 18 into utter mayhem. I think the Colts, obviously, Frank Reich's been a good coach. He is catching some heat. Deservedly, he should be. They're going to have to run it back with Wentz next year. I think they're a playoff team next year, but who knows? I think Chris Ballard is a great GM. I feel like he put the roster together to get it done. The players failed him. I am very interested to see. I haven't been watching it. I've heard it's good. The last episode of Hard Knocks is going to be a must-watch.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
is going
I
to
haven't
be
watched
awesome.
all the episodes of
Me neither.
the
Gotta
season, but I'm
catch up
definitely
on
going
it.
to watch that last one. And I also just want to say one thing about the Colts. Every year when they do their salary cap, impending salary cap graphics, the Colts always have like 60, 70 mil coming off of a 10-win, 9, 10, 11-win season. And everyone thinks it's the craziest thing. But time to open your eyes too, NFL fans. The Colts don't actually sign anyone because they have just been sitting on this pot of money for Quentin Nelson and Darius Leonard. Two players that will garner $50 million or maybe more, maybe $1 million or $2 million less, but anywhere from 48 to like 54, 55 million in extensions. So they're not actually. There's not a ton of ways unless
now
they
they're
decide
paying
to
Wentz.
just go all in this year. Exactly. Now they're playing Wentz. So unless they decide to go all in this year, and maybe we're going to let Darius Leonard go after next season. We'll see.
I think they
But
paid him.
They already did extend him, didn't they?
I think they
Might be
did.
right.
It was a big deal. I mean,
It was a
hasn't
huge
kicked,
deal.
It hasn't kicked in yet.
No.
But I think they did pay, and they haven't paid Nelson yet. Which
And this
you're right,
offseason
they
is
have to
the,
do.
You have to pay
And this
Nelson,
offseason
yeah.
is, of course, 5 years, 99.25 for Leonard. So he's already making $20 million a year.
He's one of the best players.
He might be the best middle linebacker in the
Dude,
league.
He's so good.
The way he
He has
forces
the pieces-
fumbles.
That's
the way
why
he
it's so
forces fumbles is
frustrating.
crazy.
The pieces are there. That's why no one thought, like, the Colts in the beginning of the year were losing games, but once they turned it around, no one really saw it as a possibility for them missing the playoffs, because you look at the other teams and you see Pittsburgh, I don't think they're good enough to really get in over Indianapolis. Denver, the Raiders, no one thought the Raiders were going to be in the playoffs until the last 2 weeks of the regular season. That's the beauty of the NFL. You never know. Unfortunately for the Colts, you just got to run it back next year. You got to upgrade through the draft. You don't have a first-round pick, but you still got to hit on your second, third, fourth-round picks. Get guys who can just help the team. You have a little bit of wiggle room in the cap, sign some playmakers, but you're going to go back out there with pretty much the same cast next year. So hopefully they can get it done.
Yeah.
That's probably the deciding factor for Frank Reich will be next season. If they miss again or go out in the first round maybe, I don't think he makes it past next year.
Yeah, and if they
and I
beat the
think-
teams they're supposed to beat, they're going to end up in the playoffs. So
Yeah,
it's all
I'll
about
keep saying it.
executing.
I'll keep saying it even after he gets fired. I really think Frank Reich's a good coach. I think Chris Ballard's a good GM. But you need a quarterback in this league. They haven't been able to find one. The best quarterback that they've had, obviously 1 year of luck, but the best quarterback that they've had since they hired Frank Reich, he got a year of luck his first year. The best quarterback they've had since they hired Frank Reich was Phillip Rivers, aside from the Luck season, which was his first year there.
I think Frank Reich came in, and his first year was when Luck retired in that preseason game, and then they rolled with Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, let me look right now.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I feel like, you know when the Colts got beat by the Chiefs in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I feel like Reich was the coach that year. But
Was
what
he?
year? Because Reich
Was
he really?
2017?
Because Reich got hired right after
Wait.
right after the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
You might be right.
So I think Reich's
Wow.
first year was with Luck, but it doesn't seem like that because Luck retired. It wasn't really like
That
Reich's team yet.
That team that lost to the Chiefs, they were a good 6.
Yeah, that was a
they
good,
really were.
man.
really good defense. Really good.
That was the year after they had gotten so that was 2018 because they got Leonard and Quentin Nelson in the draft, and they both were all pro players as rookies.
Yeah.
And they just totally burst onto the scene. Luck had a bad playoff game in Kansas City, and the team as a whole did, but they were young. Luck was,
They had a
overmatched.
path. They got screwed with his retirement, but you got to respect his decision. I know it's probably frustrating for Colts fans, but their inability to find a quarterback in the 3 years since then is going to cost them. I don't know. I'd say I have faith in Chris Ballard to find that guy because he is that good. But they did just commit to Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
Carson Wentz has never been that guy, in my opinion. I just feel like he was good this year too. He just can't. He's not clutch. Can't get the job done when you need it the most.
The dilemma that the Colts could have that's justified why they got Wentz was because the year that Wentz was great and then got hurt and was never the same after, that's the guy Frank Reich remembers, that Wentz. Now things are different.
You saw flashes of it, but you also saw flashes of his last 2 years.
His left-handed throws.
He turns the ball over. He's too careless.
I don't think his reward outweighs his risk.
There was that stat about not throwing interceptions on the road. Obviously, that changed, but he was handing teams the ball. They were just not catching him.
I mean, you think back to probably the worst play of the season. Correct me if there was one worse, because I'd love to remember it. That pick six against Tennessee.
The worst play.
When he switched it to his left hand and did that little pop-up to avoid the safety. That was just the worst play, and that cost them a playoff game. In hindsight, it cost them a playoff game.
And then when he sprained 2 ankles on one play because he thought he could take on Aaron Donald, and then the next few weeks he was just completely immobile, I mean, that takes a toll on you. He's very careless. He's got, it's all there, I feel like.
There's talent,
it's all there.
yeah.
He just can never put it together ever since he tore his ACL that 2017 season.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the football we have ahead. The stuff we have yet to come. I'm excited. This is the best part of the show here. Let's start with our playoff brackets. Right off the rip. Let's start with our playoff brackets. I just want to read out quick. Of course, we have Titans in the AFC. Titans 1, Chiefs 2, Bills 3, Bengals 4, Raiders 5, Patriots 6, Steelers 7. Packers 1, this is the NFC. Packers 1, Buccaneers 2, Cowboys 3, Rams 4, Cardinals 5, 49ers 6. The surprise Eagles are the 7. Would anyone like to go first, and what conference would you like to start with? Do we want to just do a full read-through of your entire bracket?
Well, we want to go...
or do we want to take it round by round?
We'll each go one at a time with the wild card round. I think starting the AFC, I can start for us. We'll go with the 4 versus the 5. The Raiders traveling to the Bengals. The Bengals rested Joe Burrow last week, a few of their starters. I think they start a bit slow, but I do think they eventually win. I really, early, for lock it in, I kind of like the Raiders at +6. I think that's a lot of points. Raiders have been buzzing. But I do think ultimately the Bengals pull away late in the end, whether it's a field goal, late touchdown. I like the Bengals there. The 3 versus the... Actually, no. What do you guys like in that game? We'll just do it this way.
I'm all over Cincy. I think Cincy wins this one pretty easily, in my opinion. I feel like Vegas is going to burn out. I'm
all in on the autumn win, dude. I'm all in on the autumn win round 1. I think we get a Raiders upset in round 1. I feel like this pass rush, JD, you said about Crosby. This pass rush of Crosby and Ngakoue gives me so much confidence in this team against Cincinnati. And I think the Bengals... The way that they've won a lot of games is they have so many weapons, all right? So, but look at these last few weeks. It's been just the Burrow and Chase show.
Mm-hmm. I think the Raiders secondary is somewhat like they're decent. Like they're not
They've
a
given
bad
up.
secondary.
They're top 5 in passing touchdowns allowed.
That's what
Young guys, they've lost a couple of players in that secondary, but no one that's to like DUIs and just Raiders nonsense. But no one that's significant. And JD, you know it well with the Packers. Rodgers and Devontae got tandems like that. And as much as Burrow was great this year, he's no Rodgers yet. That's not. Tandems like that don't translate well to the postseason always. I think that it's just going to be tough for two inexperienced teams. I think it's just going to be tougher for Cincinnati to move the ball because I think Burrow might try to force it to chase a little bit too much. I don't know. I'm excited for this game. This is a really good game. I like the Raiders personally.
I really was. I'm going to be honest. I really was close to picking the Raiders just because I really think the opposite of Reese. I think like their momentum carries into this game, and I think they play really well. This is more of I don't know. I think the Bengals win, but I really want to see the Bengals.
Bengals are the more talented.
I think the
I
Bengals
prefer
crowd.
the Bengals to win. I just think the Raiders. The Raiders are my gut feeling. They're one of the few games where I have a real, forget any stats, forget any personnel. I just have a gut.
I really
feeling.
like this game. Like it's one of the more
I do too.
intriguing.
Yeah.
ones.
It's a good.
And-
It's a good game, definitely. What time is this one on? Is this on?
This is the 4:30.
4:30, yeah.
This is the first game, right?
First one. Yep.
That's
Yeah,
a great
and
way to
I
start.
completely see where you guys are coming from, but just the Cincy crowd, I feel like is going to be the X factor in this game.
they're
That's
a
what's going to
rowdy
give them
bunch.
the edge.
They
so.
got a good fan. Their fan base has
They
really
have a
showed
sick
this
fan
year.
base.
Yeah.
Sick
I mean,
fan base. I love them.
I have to apologize. I've never said it out loud, but I've just never acknowledged that the Bengals have a legitimate fan base, and they really do. So
Their ownership has just gypped them.
It really has.
consistently, and I'm glad that they put a good team together. But it's not like the owners went all in. It's the guys they drafted are now making a difference, and you can see the work that Burrow puts in. He's a great franchise quarterback. Jamar Chase is a great franchise wide receiver. It's going to be a great duo. I'm glad Cincinnati has a good football team. They're a rowdy bunch. When Welcome to the Jungle comes on at kickoff, I'm going to be ready for Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah,
I am
and
so excited.
And I did just want to let everyone know that the winner of this game plays Tennessee.
Yeah,
Just so we know,
Unless we get
depending-
if New England beats Buffalo,
yeah,
then they
depending
play
on
Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
depending on the other game. So I'll
That-
go into
that's
that
my
one
fault,
now if we're
yeah.
all set. I don't know if you
Yes.
guys have anything.
So we get
put
the
on.
third of this AFC rivalry.
Yeah, so the Saturday night game out of the AFC is the 3 versus the 6. The Patriots at the Bills. The Patriots are currently underdogs. I like the Pats to win, but I feel like this is one of the more toss-up games. There's going to be a lot of different opinions because the Bills seem to be heading in one direction while they didn't completely stomp on the Jets. They beat them pretty easily. I know the score was close. There was never really a worry from them. The Patriots lost to Miami. I do not think that Week 18 matters, though. Once Bill Belichick's team has their eyes on the playoffs, I say you just wipe that out. I like the Patriots. I definitely like them to cover the +4, which it is right now. So I just want to hear what you guys have to say on this one.
I got Buffalo. After watching the Pats and the Bills for the second time after a game that wasn't a literal fucking monsoon, I noticed that Buffalo found some weak spots in the New England defense, which is the biggest thing for me because the Bills defense has been playing great. Mac Jones isn't going to win you a football game, so if they can shut down the run game of New England, I think Buffalo has a really good shot of winning them.
Before you go, KB, I just want to mention the weather in Buffalo for Saturday night. I think it's supposed to be like 9 degrees with a wind chill of -1.
We're getting a repeat of that.
No snow, but wind and cold. So
I'm with JD here. I'm taking New England. I just think Buffalo's better. I would not be shocked if Buffalo won at all. I just think that they're going to get into another game of who can run the football better, and I give that type of game to New England every time. Reese, I agree with you too. I have no confidence in Mac Jones to win a football game, but I think it could be another night where he does not pass more than
Sure,
10
he might not
times.
be used, but
If we're getting 8 degrees and 15 to 20 mile per hour winds like they're calling right now, like JD said, it's going to be -1 or 2 degrees out there. This is a game that I like New England for. But Saturday's 2 games are fantastic.
Yeah, this is one of the gut games for me. I have a weird feeling Buffalo's going to end up winning this.
Buffalo's a better team. Buffalo was the favorite of the AFC coming into the season. I still think that they could be that good. So
Yeah.
I could totally see this game going either way also. But JD, you can go to the next one.
Yeah.
It's a game that I do not see going either way.
We'll keep it in the AFC. 2 versus 7. Steelers at Chiefs. I don't want to disrespect this game, but I'm going to keep it quick because I want to keep it moving. We got a lot to go through here.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs probably win by 2 scores. I want to respect, though, Mike Tomlin's ability to have these guys ready, and I would not be shocked if this is a close game. But I just don't see how the Steelers' defense can stop them. I don't know how it's any different from last time. I don't know how the Steelers move the ball in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
It's going to be freezing. I just don't see a scenario where the Steelers win. Hopefully they keep it close just for it being a good game.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. I think the Chiefs win this one pretty easily. Even if it's close, I think the Steelers might cover the 12.5, but I think it's all KC. All KC.
Yeah, I like Pittsburgh's pass rush. I love TJ Watt. I don't think they could stop Kansas City, and even if they do, I think Kansas City only needs to score, 18, 20 points to win this game.
The Steelers aren't getting over 20 points. They have to win. If they're going to win this game, they've got to win like 17-13, 17-16, 20-17. There's just no chance they can hold down Kansas City for 4 quarters.
Yeah, there's no way.
Pittsburgh going into Arrowhead, it's going to be cold. It's going to be a tough game. I just don't see them moving the ball against the Chiefs defense that has been trending upwards for the whole second half of the season and is back into their usual playoff mode. All right, let's go to do we want to move on to like divisional rounds of what we picked?
No, let's go to the NFC.
Yeah, let's go to the NFC.
Yeah.
I'll start with the Monday night game, the 4 versus the 5. The Cardinals traveling to the Rams. Now this one can go either way. I feel like you're either on one side or you're not. I don't know. I like the Rams. I could also see the Cardinals. I don't know. This one was tough because the Rams were not good. They were good in the first half on Sunday. They were not good in the second half, and that cost them 2 seeding spots. Like, if they win that game, they play the Eagles instead, which is a much better matchup than your division rival who has Kyler Murray on the other end. I just think the Rams are too explosive, and without D-Hop for the Cards, I don't know if J.J. Watt's playing. I think he might. I guess
he
that
is,
might,
but I don't know how effective.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it might change things on defense. I just think the Rams bounce back this week and at least win 1 playoff game with this roster.
Yeah, JD, I'm on the Rams with you, and for me, it's more about how the Cardinals have performed more than the Rams.
They did lose to Seattle. They did just lose to Seattle.
Yeah,
but wipe it all away though when it comes to the playoffs. I feel like I
agree. But
yes,
I just feel like that the Cardinals have been trending down, while the Rams, I wouldn't say they've been trending down. They've kind of just been staying afloat. And I feel like the Cardinals have been due all season for like a first round wild card loss. I just feel like they're just that team this year. I don't think they have the firepower on offense anymore, especially with how James Conner's been hurt. I know he's back now, but I don't really have much faith in this Arizona team anymore. Even though I was huge on them. I'm the
same way. I'm out on the Cardinals. I'm in for the Rams. I'm excited to watch this Monday night. I think it's a good way to finish off the weekend. We got
the best game of the week.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to finish off the weekend, but if we want to move to the next game, I think the next game is the absolute best game of the weekend.
In the 4:30 window on Sunday, we've got the Nickelodeon game. There's going to be some slime in this one.
Oh, yay.
The 49ers traveling to the Cowboys. This is the best matchup of the weekend, and I love the 49ers. I know it seems like a lot of people do, but I don't even want to overthink it. I'm just going to go my initial gut. 49ers win. Cowboys, unfortunately, lose after, a pretty good season, I'd say. And they were fortunate to end up with the 3 seed, so they could avoid going to Lambeau Field if they do win. I just think the 49ers... Shanahan's such a good coach. I think he outcoaches McCarthy. McCarthy may even lose them this game. I think the 49ers can just run the ball all day on Dallas. I don't see how they stop him. As long as Jimmy G's not turning the ball over like he did in Tennessee a few weeks ago, as long as that hand's feeling okay, I like the Niners. Reese, I know you have a differing opinion, so...
Yeah, I'm worried about both of these teams and their consistencies on either side of the ball, but I just feel like the Dallas defense has been so explosive, and if they're able to make some plays on defense, I think they'll be able to hold it down on offense if the run game's even able to get going a little bit. If they do completely shut down that run game, they still have an average, maybe even below average secondary for the 49ers. So I really feel like even if San Fran completely executes on their game plan with stopping the run, I feel like Dallas just has enough power in order to overcome that, and I think that they're going to end up winning in the end. It's going to be a great game, and I think it'll be really close, but I got Dallas at home being able to pull it out.
Yeah, I'm on San Fran here, but I was torn because I even asked you guys before we started going, just because this was the game I was most torn on. Dallas, in my opinion, has the most playmakers on a single roster in the NFL, but something just has not felt right with their offense. And Shanahan, I just have so much confidence in Shanahan to make sure that Diggs and Parsons are not making huge plays and not having huge impacts. I could be wrong. I'd love to see either of these teams, but JD, I want to get your thoughts on this, and Reese, of course, yours too. But JD, with the Packers being someone that roots for a team that makes the playoffs, I think that the winner of this game is incredibly dangerous. I really do.
Agree.
Whoever can win and get some momentum is incredibly dangerous. Who, for you, JD, Cowboys, of course, would be an NFC Championship game as the 3 seed. San Fran, you'd get round 2 probably, unless the Eagles upset the Bucs.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think who would you rather play? Like, who do you think is an easier matchup for these top teams, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, in this postseason?
So it's always tough because when you're rooting for certain outcomes, it always seems like to come back and bite you. I don't know. These are both tough matchups.
Yeah.
I'd certainly rather play out of the possible divisional opponents, the Cards, Rams, or Eagles, instead of these two teams. But I don't think the 49ers, it's PTSD because of how bad we were against them 2 years ago. I think we're better than the 49ers, so I think we would ultimately beat them, especially in Lambeau Field. Same with the Cowboys. I think we're the better team. But playing the 49ers does scare you because they can run the ball, and the Packers' run defense hasn't been as bad as it's usually been, but they're still very susceptible to it. I'd say I'd rather play the Cowboys in the championship game over the 49ers in the divisional.
I agree completely.
It's definitely close.
I feel like Dallas on the road is worse than San Fran on the road at this moment in time.
Absolutely.
All right, so we move to the last game, the lopsided 2 versus 7 of the NFC.
Yes. The 1 o'clock game on Sunday. We've got the Eagles traveling to the Bucs. Unfortunately, I'd love to see the Bucs leave.
You're good. You get PTSD from Riverside recording issues of you getting ripped out of the recording.
Sometimes it's just a tragedy, but we'll continue.
We move.
We're good. Bucs might beat the brakes off Philly. I like and want to respect the Eagles' ability to run the football because they do very well a lot of the time. There's just no... The Eagles just don't... I don't think they have... They're just at such a disadvantage. The Bucs are getting guys back. I know their defense has been a bit worse, so they can move the ball. But how did the Eagles stop the Bucs? They just gave up 51 to the Cowboys, who were playing their starters, yes, but they were not in must-win mode by any means.
Yeah,
I just don't see a way. I guess I see a way they keep it close, but no scenario where the Bucs lose this game.
Yeah, the Eagles have barely beaten a team over 500 the entire season. I'm all over Tampa. I don't really have anything else to say.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Philly, great story. You won the games you were supposed to win this year. The future looks good for you guys moving into the next few years. Tampa, it's the defending champs. It's Tom Brady.
See ya.
I will say this, though. If you look at Brady's track record in the wild card round, it's not pretty, but it's a lot of wins still. It's just we saw it last year with Washington. It's a lot of wins. It's just not, he doesn't blow teams out in the wild card. So we'll see.
The games
afterwards.
I think
this is a close game.
I'd love a close game.
I'd take I think we could see a first half close game here. The Eagles defense does not get enough credit. Been pretty tough, but when it's Sirianni and Hurts and the very, very marginal talent of the Eagles roster versus Brady, Arians, and the defending champions roster, 10 times out of 10 I'm taking Tampa.
Yeah. And the one real dagger stat Well, they can keep it close, and they could cover 8.5. 8.5's a lot. They're 0-6 versus NFC playoff teams. The Eagles. That's not good.
And you're coming out of a division that obviously is not.
Yeah, they won all their games beating teams who they're supposed to, and that's what you're supposed to do. That's why they're in the playoffs. But they did not beat a quality opponent on their schedule, and that's just a fact.
Yeah.
And
Except for
I
the Jets.
would love, I would love for a good game. I just think there's no way the Bucks lose. I would kill for an upset. I really would.
Yeah, that's huge.
I would just make my day. But let's move on. I'll go through the rest. I know because Reese's is different.
Let's just bang them out from now on.
Just breeze through our.
Now the rest of the bracket we're gonna breeze through because these are not set matchups, so there's nothing to preview. We'll preview them all next week. I have the Titans and Patriots in round 2. I like the Titans to win, getting Derrick Henry back. He was designated off IR to return, so he'll be back, assuming all goes well for the divisional round. I really like the Titans. I love Vrabel. I think he wants to beat Belichick bad, and I think they do. Then Chiefs-Bengals in Arrowhead. I think the Chiefs get their revenge. I think the Bengals, they fall short of the ultimate goal. They had a great season, a lot to be proud of, and then they'll go into next season strong. And then out of the AFC, Titans, Chiefs. I really like the Titans. I really do. With Derrick Henry, they've had their losses, their moments this year, but they finished really strong. They're finally starting to get somewhat healthy. I know they had like 90 different players play this year because they had so many guys with COVID on IR. That is really something special. I think Mike Vrabel's a great coach, and I could definitely see the Chiefs winning this game. But I really like the Titans out of this year out of the AFC. They got the 1 seed. I think this is it. This is their shot. I'll move though. KB, I want to hear what you have for the rest of your AFC bracket.
Yeah, so I told you guys I had like a mayhem bracket. I'm actually not gonna do it right now because it's just looking back at it, it's just not. So I have the Titans, Patriots second round. I'm going Tennessee, and then you go to the Raiders, Chiefs playing for the third time this year. For me, I have the Chiefs. So JD, same AFC Championship game as you. Curious to see if Reese will have the same also. And then I have the Chiefs winning the AFC. I have so LA versus Tampa and San Fran versus the Packers. Packers and Rams advance. I think the Rams are going to knock out the defending champs in the second round.
Really?
Regardless of what happens, I want to say this. I do not think the Buccaneers make it past the divisional round this year. I have a feeling that whether Dallas or the Rams, I could be totally wrong and Brady could get his 8th. I mean, they've been wrong on Brady for the last 10 years. But I think that the winner of, whoever, if Dallas wins, I think Dallas goes to Tampa and beats them. And if the Rams win, I think the Rams go to Tampa and beat them too. And then I have Green Bay beating the Rams. I hate to have the Chiefs and the Packers in because it's so generic. I have the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl again.
Okay. So mine's going to differ a little bit. So I have Cincy beating the Raiders. So then I have Buffalo beating New England. So it's going to be Kansas City.
Wait. What are you? Wait. Oh, you're just going over. I was going to say, I was like, what?
Yeah, I was just going over everything.
Continue.
All right, so I have Tennessee and Cincy playing in the divisional. I'm going to take Cincy. I don't know why. I feel really good about them in the playoffs. I think they're going to beat Tennessee. Just throwing it out there. If there was one team I really feel good about right now, I don't know why. It's the Bengals. Then I got Buffalo versus Kansas City in the divisional. I'm going to take Kansas City. And then we got Kansas City and Cincy. I'm going to have the Chiefs coming out of the AFC. I'm going to have Dallas beating San Fran and the Rams beating the Cardinals. So Dallas and Tampa will play for the champ. I think I'm going to take Dallas, and then I'm going to take the Packers over the Rams. And the Packers coming out of the NFC and the Packers to win the Super Bowl. That's what my bracket's looking like.
I didn't even go over my NFC side of the bracket. We know who I'm picking to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And coming out of there, I love the Packers.
Oh, JD,
year.
you didn't pick. I'm sorry, you didn't pick your NFC.
No,
totally
it's all good. We all know who's coming out of the NFC for me.
Yeah.
I think they beat the 49ers.
We're all in consensus for Packers right, out of the NFC.
Yes.
Difference in opinion. I think the Bucks beat the Rams in the divisional, and I think the Packers get a little revenge for last year's loss. I think this is the most satisfying but not easy path for me, because then they beat the Niners, avenged 2 years ago, beat the Bucks, avenge last year, and then
I'd say Niners-Bucks would be their toughest path.
yes,
but I think that they can
it
win
is.
both. I think they will.
I
think
do
they
too.
will win.
I don't know how
And
they
then I haven't
lose. I
beaten
really
the
don't.
Titans, so I think before the games start on Saturday, I'll make us a little graphic just to throw up.
Yeah, because this
for
is tough to articulate. It really is.
our brackets.
Yeah.
So I'll have that up on Instagram, and then I think we got one more thing we want to do, the awards.
Yes, I want to do the
yeah,
awards.
we got to
I'm
run through
curious,
that quick.
curious to see. Come on, Reese. Week 18, regular season's wrapped.
Yeah, that's true. We
No,
do
I'm
got
kidding.
time. You're right.
I'm kidding. We'll try to run through them as quick as we can, but you know me, I'm going to talk as much as I want. So, I'm curious to see how much we have in the same.
I feel like we don't have good amount.
I think a lot of the
I think there's only a few
two or
awards that
three.
are for different. Yeah. MVP. Who do we all got? I got Rodgers.
Rodgers. I know we had a heated argument about Brady potentially winning. Now that I thought about it, he will get votes,
Yes.
but not enough to beat Rodgers. He will not.
I'm very afraid of
I hope not.
the
I
writers
pray to God he doesn't.
taking Rodgers last year of off-field issues, which I say off-field issues because the team went 13-3 through 40. He had 40 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. How much of an issue is he? He's not.
Yeah.
No one on the
Not to
team
the
has
team,
ever
no.
said, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. No one that ever played with him previously said that they don't like Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that he's a problem. I think the vaccine thing might hurt him for like 3 or 4 votes. But I think his whole last year of being in the public eye in a negative light hurts him. But the guy, you just have to watch this guy to know
He's the best
better
player
than
in the
everyone
world.
else.
He's the best player
I
in the world.
don't want to take away from Brady either, because he had an
Brady's been
absolute
good.
insane year.
Yeah.
I just think Rodgers. I think he's obviously Brady's so valuable. Rodgers is so valuable too.
They're as valuable to their team, you know.
His efficiency and just pinpoint accuracy and how surgical he is. Consistently, he threw 2 picks week 1, and that was an anomaly. He threw 2 picks the rest of the way in 16 games. He was just so good this year. I don't know how you don't give him the MVP. I know there's the off-field stuff, the vaccine, all that. I think he will lose 5-6 votes, but not enough to lose.
Yeah, it's all Rodgers. It's all Rodgers.
And I think my last point on it. Look at the 2 different offenses. Bruce Arians' passers always are at the top of the league in stats because they just sling it up so much. Postseason, and things will change for Tampa because they'll run it a lot more. We saw that with Fournette last year. But Rodgers, this offense is artistic to watch. Matt LaFleur calls it great offense. There's no forcing the ball to anyone, and when he does, he drops it right in. It's just the way that this offense is played. It's better than any other in football. Rodgers is without a doubt, my MVP. I'm afraid that he won't get it, but if I had to bet on it still, he's still going to end up with enough votes.
Oh, yeah.
Very much agree.
Go to Offensive Player of the Year. Mine is Cooper Kupp.
I think this is an easy one. Cooper Kupp is the Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
no
Taylor was great, but Taylor did not have a better year than Derrick Henry last year. And this team doesn't sit in the playoffs, which I know it's for an individual player. It hurts him. It does.
Yes.
It's a tough thing. I did think Cooper Kupp was awesome.
Cooper Kupp's
and they're
been
both
incredible.
great. I think they both have the same odds at like -110 or something.
I think it's got to go to Kupp, just because Jonathan Taylor's team's not in, and like you said, KB, while he had a great year, we all know Derrick Henry would have bested him this year. I know he gets more carries. Derrick Henry was so good last year. I just think Cooper Kupp coming close to Megatron. I know it was 17 games, but that is absurd.
Yeah,
led the league. To lead the league in receptions, you triple crown for a receiver, you're the Offensive Player of the Year every single time.
Gotta be.
Defensive Player of the Year, I think, is also a very easy one.
Yes.
My only midseason award prediction that held up is TJ Watt.
Yes, TJ Watt is the easy pick here.
There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to I'm going in the wrong direction, but I'll make a quick point. For our midseason awards, none of us had Rodgers as the MVP, which shows how absurd his second half of the season was.
He was awesome. Same thing as last year, too. Last year, he totally heated up second half of the season.
Yes.
And I feel like, sometimes we're a Packers podcast at times, but Rodgers threw those 3 picks against the Saints. And JD, correct me if I'm wrong, it was 3 picks in week 1, right?
It was 2 week 1, 2
week 1, 2 week 1,
the rest of the
one,
way.
and then another one within like the following 3 weeks, and then he threw like one in the last.
To Jamal Adams, and it was a gimme. He knows it was.
I mean, he was just unbelievable. So we can move on to defensive rookie of the year is what I have next. We'll go. I have Micah Parsons. This is the easiest award that's ever been given out.
Micah Parsons.
No one else
absolutely
on
incredible.
the defense was like even worthy of.
He's so good, man. He's so good.
Yeah,
it's a dream guy.
Crazy to think too that he's drafted to play inside linebacker, and due to him not being able to cover when he became a top 5 pass rusher in the league this year.
So good.
Offensive rookie of the year, another very easy one in my opinion. I have Jamar Chase.
Yeah, it was close with Mac.
Chase.
It was close with Mac Jones until the Chiefs game, and then Jamar just blew that one apart. So I'm gonna take Jamar.
Yeah,
Mac had the edge at like midway through the season, but Jamar Chase was just so good, and you can see Mac Jones starting to tail off at the end. I mean, he's played worse, but he was very good candidate. But Jamar Chase was just absurd.
Yeah, Chase started very strong and finished very strong. His middle of the season was, nothing crazy. But comeback player of the year, I think a little bit of a controversial one. I had a lot of trouble with this.
This one's tough.
I actually ended up with Dak for it. It's so close, though, between him and Burrow. It really is.
Yeah.
The last week hurts Burrow because he didn't play.
Yes.
Just not for me. My comeback player of the year is Joe Burrow. It doesn't hurt him for me, but for the award, for the betting favorites, Dak Prescott's going to win. I just think Joe Burrow was so good. He turned around such a bad team. They were predicted to be last in the AFC North. I like Burrow coming off that knee injury.
Burrow I don't even have. It's Reese. Who do you have?
I have Burrow. I feel like coming in, winning that division after what happened to his leg. Dak. The only thing I would argue for Dak is
NFC East is such a
the only thing I would argue for Dak is that he was older and he had more of a recovery issue. But I mean, Burrow had a gruesome injury, tore his ACL, MCL, comes back in, beats the Ravens, Steelers, and how am I blanking? The Ravens, Steelers, and the Browns. Out of that division.
In the division.
Out of that division, which is, I mean, absurd. No one could have predicted it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you don't take Burrow, but Dak is also. I mean, Dak's been incredible. It's just.
Yeah, I have like Dak / Burrow.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's really hard.
Burrow, who did I enjoy watching more? Burrow.
Yeah.
But who did I think just put in a better body of work by like the slightest margin? I guess Dak. I'm happy if either of them win it. I love both of them. Coach of the year. For me, it was, I thought a lot. Zach Taylor, good story. Sirianni got a bad Eagles team to the playoffs first year. A lot of times this award goes to first-year coaches. Mike Vrabel was awesome this year. A lot of injuries. Matt LaFleur, how's he not won it yet?
Now's the year.
Mine's Matt LaFleur. They just were by far the best team. Look, he dealt with COVID stuff. And I know I said the Rodgers thing doesn't matter too much to me, but a lot of drama from your superstar quarterback in the past year. I don't think Rodgers himself is a problem when he's at the building, but LaFleur handled himself great. He has a great relationship with Rodgers and all the players, it seems. He's my coach of the year.
Yeah, I love Mike Vrabel. Look, I love Mike Vrabel, and I think he had a very coach of the year worthy year. But Matt LaFleur, I know it's not just this year, but this year in particular, handling the drama like you said, he's such a good coach, such a professional. The players love him. He listens to his players. He loves. I mean, I love how he's just hyping up the crowd on third down. He's out there going nuts. Great coach. I love him. Great offensive mind. 13-4 this year. That sounds weird to say. I was about to say 13-3. I think he's just done an unbelievable job, and now it's finally time to give it to him. He's been 39-10 his first 3 years. Aaron Rodgers or not. They were reeling under Mike McCarthy his last 2 years. They were about a 500 team. I know he has Aaron Rodgers. That's what everyone's going to say. But Matt LaFleur is the coach of the year.
Yeah, it's time to stop with that. And even at the beginning of the year, JD, you and both of you, because when we started this, I was hesitant on whether I thought LaFleur was a good coach or a great coach. And I admit it. I was guilty of saying, and now I'm on Hackett for a head coach, Rodgers, this is not a pass that could be given because of the final years of McCarthy with Rodgers. It was not good. It wasn't great. It was average at best.
Reese, what do you got?
Yeah, so I was just rewriting everything. I got Vrabel, as my coach of the year.
Yeah,
even though I think
understandable,
LaFleur has been incredible, really, and one of the best, or the best start for a coaching career ever. But I feel like there was not a lot to work with this Tennessee offense without Derrick Henry, and he kept the team afloat.